My fingers felt numb. Not from cold, but from the ice water flooding my veins as I stared at the laptop screen. 0. A big, fat, mocking zero stared back from the balance line of our joint savings account. Below it, a waterfall of transactions, withdrawals, transfers, high-end store names I barely recognized. It wasn't just empty, it had been bled dry. Deliberately. While Sarah, my wife, my partner for 30 years, lay in a hospital bed fighting to reclaim her life from a devastating stroke, our daughter, Jessica, had been executing a different kind of finality. She'd been erasing our future. The air punched out of my lungs, leaving a hollow ache where trust used to be. Fury, cold and sharp, began to burn through the shock. She thought she'd crippled us, taken everything, left us helpless. But a grim smile touched my lips, even as my heart hammered. Jessica didn't know. She couldn't possibly know about the other account. The one built in silence, waiting. The one that would ensure her mother's care, and Jessica's ultimate downfall. You didn't just steal money, Jessica. You just signed away your entire life. My name is Mark. For 3 decades, the rhythm of my life beat in time with Sarah's. Being her husband, and eventually, a father to Jessica, defined me. We weren't flashy people. I worked in engineering, Sarah shaped young minds as a teacher. Together, we built a solid, comfortable life in a quiet suburban neighborhood. Potlucks with friends, tinkering in the garden, saving diligently. It was a good life, predictable in the best way. Our finances mirrored our partnership. Open, shared. Joint checking, joint savings, everything transparent. We trusted each other implicitly, building towards a retirement we pictured filled with travel, grandkids maybe, and definitely more time for Sarah's beloved roses. And Jessica, she was the bright spot. Smart, driven, seemingly independent. We cheered her successes, supported her through university, helped her get started. We believed we'd raised a daughter who valued hard work, family loyalty, integrity. Maybe we saw what we wanted to see. She always had ambition, a desire for nicer things perhaps, but we chalked it up to youthful aspiration. It never occurred to us that ambition could curdle into avarice, especially not towards her own family. That shared life, that deep-seated trust, felt like granite. Rock solid. Until the day it crumbled into dust with terrifying speed. We had security. We had plans. We thought we had it all figured out. It happened on a Tuesday. An utterly ordinary morning, sunshine slanting through the kitchen window, coffee brewing. Sarah was laughing at something on the radio 1 second, and the next, she crumpled to the floor. The world dissolved into a frantic blur, calling emergency services, the wail of sirens, the harsh fluorescent lights and antiseptic smell of the ER. The diagnosis landed like a physical blow, a major stroke. Severe. Prognosis, uncertain. My world shrank to the size of her hospital room. Days bled into weeks, measured by the incessant beeping of monitors, the hushed tones of doctors, the agonizing wait for any sign of improvement. Holding her hand, talking into the silence, praying. Jessica arrived in a flurry of tears and what seemed like genuine distress. She held my hand, made calls, brought me coffee that tasted like cardboard. In the initial fog of shock and grief, her presence felt necessary, functional. But even then, amidst the shared worry, small discordant notes began to sound. "Dad, we really need to think about the long-term cost," she said one afternoon, her gaze fixed somewhere over my shoulder, not on her mother's still face. Power of attorney, making sure the bills are covered. It's a lot. It felt jarringly practical, almost cold. Another time, looking around our home, she murmured, "This place will need a lot of upkeep just for you, Dad." Was it concern? Or was it something else? A calculation? I pushed the thoughts down. Grief makes you imagine things, I told myself. She's hurting too. We all cope differently. But a tiny crack had appeared in the foundation of my certainty about her. A sliver of unease I couldn't quite ignore, a question mark hanging in the sterile hospital air. Weeks turned into months. Sarah remained in the hospital, the path to recovery looking long and incredibly expensive. Physical therapy, specialized care, potential modifications to make our home accessible. The numbers were staggering. I was running on fumes, dividing my time between the hospital vigil and trying to keep my own job afloat. That's when Jessica stepped forward, voice smooth with practiced sympathy. "Dad, you look exhausted. Please let me handle the bills, the accounts. Focus on Mom. I can take this stress off your plate." It felt like a life raft thrown to a drowning man. Overwhelmed, Emotionally ragged, I gratefully accepted. I gave her the online banking passwords, the account details, full access. It seemed the only logical thing to do. She was our daughter. Who else could I trust? At first, everything seemed normal. She'd mentioned paying the mortgage, the insurance. But then the oddities began to accumulate like pebbles in my shoe. She talked about needing a large sum for a specialized therapeutic bed Sarah might need at home. When I vaguely recalled the hospital's social worker mentioning insurance should cover most of it, Jessica brushed it off. "Oh, Dad, you know insurance companies. Always finding ways out of paying. It's just easier to handle it directly." Then I noticed the new designer handbag slung over her shoulder. A very expensive one. "Just a little pick-me-up," she'd explained with a quick smile. Trying to stay sane through all this, you know? Felt wrong. Deeply wrong. Spending lavishly while claiming funds were tight for her mother's care? The unease grew into a knot of suspicion in my gut. I started asking casually if I could see the latest bank statement just to get oriented. Her excuses became more frequent, more elaborate. "The bank portal is down for maintenance." "Oh, I filed that away somewhere safe, I'll dig it out later." Finally, laced with accusation, "Dad, don't you trust me? I'm doing everything I can." The guilt trips worked initially. They made me doubt myself, question my own sanity under the immense stress. I'd back off, try to focus on Sarah's small steps forward. But the suspicion didn't vanish. It simmered beneath the surface, a low, constant hum of wrongness I couldn't shake. Something was fundamentally broken. The dam finally broke over something as mundane as the electricity bill. A bright red final notice screamed from the envelope. My blood turned to ice. Jessica had explicitly told me she'd paid it weeks ago. My hand shook as I dialed the power company. The confirmation was sickeningly clear. 2 months overdue. No payment received. Panic, cold and suffocating, seized me. This wasn't just carelessness. This was deliberate deception. That night, adrenaline surging, I waited until Jessica was out. My heart hammered against my ribs as I sat down at the computer. I navigated to our joint savings account login page. Typed the password. Incorrect password. I tried again. Blocked. She changed it. Why would she change it unless she had something to hide? A wave of dizziness washed over me. I clicked forgot password, went through the security questions linked to my email, questions she wouldn't know the answers to. A new temporary password arrived. I logged in, and the world fell away. Page after page of transactions. Withdrawals. Transfers to an unknown account number. Online purchases from luxury retailers, names I associated with celebrities, not our careful budget. Cash advances. Thousands upon thousands systematically siphoned away, starting almost immediately after Sarah's stroke. It wasn't just skimming, it was a complete gutting. The total was horrific. Our life savings. Decades of work, of planning, of shared dreams, gone. The air felt thick, unbreathable. The betrayal wasn't just financial, it was visceral, personal. Stealing from her mother while she lay helpless. Exploiting my grief, my trust. Her concerned face, her offers of help, all a monstrous lie. The shock gave way to a white-hot rage unlike anything I'd ever felt. It wasn't loud, it was cold, sharp, and focused. She preyed on us. She thought she'd won. I took slow, deliberate breaths, forcing clarity through the inferno in my chest. No immediate confrontation. She'd just spin more lies. I needed irrefutable proof. I needed a strategy. Fueled by black coffee and righteous fury, I spent hours downloading every statement, meticulously highlighting every withdrawal, every transfer, every purchase. Cross-referencing dates. Building the case piece by damning piece. I had to protect Sarah. I had to salvage our future. And Jessica. Jessica would learn a very hard lesson. The grieving, trusting father was gone. She was about to meet someone else entirely. For the next week, I lived a double life. At the hospital, I was the devoted husband, focusing on Sarah's slow progress. At home, when Jessica was around, I was the grieving father, playing my part, forcing polite conversation while choking back the bile that rose in my throat. Seeing her flash a new pair of expensive earrings, hearing her complain about the cost of gas for her brand new car. A car I now knew was bought with our stolen money, it tested every ounce of my self-control. Each interaction felt like handling a venomous snake. The sheer scale of her theft was terrifying. The joint account was practically empty. How would I pay for Sarah's mounting bills? The specialized care she'd inevitably need? The future we'd saved for had evaporated. Despair washed over me cold and heavy. I leaned back in my desk chair, the weight of it all pressing down. Then, like a flicker of light in the darkness, the memory surfaced. The other account. Years ago, long before life got complicated, my favorite aunt had left me a modest inheritance. It wasn't vast, but it was meaningful. Sarah knew about it, naturally, but we'd agreed, at my aunt's quiet suggestion perhaps, or maybe just my own sense of prudence, to keep it separate. A safety net for a truly unforeseen storm, managed solely by me at a different bank. I'd added to it sporadically over the years from freelance work, letting it grow quietly in the background. It wasn't secret, just separate, untouched by our daily financial flow. Jessica had absolutely no idea it existed. My fingers trembled slightly as I navigated to the other bank's website, my pulse thrumming in my ears. Please let the login work. Please let it be intact. I typed in the password, held my breath. Success. The balance displayed on the screen. My breath caught in my throat. It was more than intact. It was substantial. Years of quiet growth and careful additions had resulted in a sum large enough to cover everything. Sarah's care, her future, our security, it was all there. Relief flooded through me, so intense it stung my eyes. We weren't ruined. Sarah was safe. But the relief quickly morphed into something else. Cold, hard resolve. This account wasn't just a safety net now. It was the instrument of justice. Jessica thought she held all the power, having plundered our main resources. She thought she'd left us destitute and dependent. She had no clue I held the ultimate trump card. A plan began to crystallize, sharp and precise. No shouting match. No tearful accusations, not yet. This required patience, strategy. I would let her believe she'd succeeded. Then I would watch her carefully constructed world shatter when she realized the truth. The satisfaction wouldn't just be in exposing her. It would be in the stark realization on her face that her betrayal had ultimately failed to destroy us. It had only destroyed her. I gave it a few more days, ensuring every piece of evidence was perfectly organized. Bank statements from the joint account, starkly showing the balance plummeting. Credit card bills linked to it, itemizing. Her spending spree, designer boutiques, five-star restaurants, spa days, that gleaming new car. All laid out, highlighted, dated. The timeline was damning, contrasting her luxurious expenditures with the dates of her mother's most critical phases of illness. Then I set the stage. Sunday dinner. At our house. The irony was potent. The scene of countless happy family meals would become the setting for her reckoning. I called Jessica, keeping my voice carefully neutral, almost weary. Jess, sweetheart, can you come over for dinner Sunday? I really need to sit down with you, go over the finances for Mom's care properly. Figure out a plan. She agreed instantly, her voice bright, perhaps sensing an opportunity to solidify her control, or maybe just confident in her deception. Her arrogance was almost palpable over the phone. Sunday evening arrived, heavy with unspoken anticipation. I made roast chicken, Sarah's favorite. The familiar aroma filled the house, a stark contrast to the tension coiling inside me. Jessica arrived, radiating false sympathy, asking performative questions about Sarah's progress. I kept my answers short, my demeanor subdued. We ate in near silence. After clearing the main course plates, I left the water glasses and placed a thick folder squarely in the middle of the table. Right, Jess, I began, my voice low but carrying in the quiet room. We need to talk seriously about the savings. Looking at the numbers, things are much worse than I realized. I opened the folder, sliding out the statement from just before Sarah's stroke, showing the healthy six-figure balance. Then I placed the current statement beside it, the one showing barely enough to cover a single utility bill. Jessica glanced at it, then quickly looked at me, her expression shifting to practiced concern. I know, Dad, she said, her voice dripping with false empathy. Just, the medical bills are unbelievable. And prepping the house, the potential nursing costs, it vanished so fast. I held her gaze. Vanished? I echoed softly. I slowly began laying out the other documents. The credit card statements. The detailed transaction history from the savings account. Each withdrawal, each purchase highlighted in bright yellow. Because this doesn't look like nursing care, Jessica, I said, tapping a finger on a charge from a high-fashion boutique. This looks like a shopping spree. And this, I pointed to another large withdrawal, matches the down payment on that new car you're driving. These restaurant receipts, these cash withdrawals, the significant transfers directly into your personal account? Her face went deathly white. The color literally drained away, leaving her skin looking like parchment paper under the dining room light. Her eyes darted frantically between the papers and my face, like a cornered animal. That I can explain, she stammered, her voice suddenly thin. There were hidden fees. Things came up. I panicked. The stress. I needed stress. The word ripped out of me, sharp and laced with the fury I'd held back for weeks. You want to talk about stress? Your mother is in a hospital bed, fighting to relearn how to talk, how to move, fighting for her very life. And you're easing your stress by pillaging the money meant to save her? Our entire life savings? Tears started rolling down her cheeks. Maybe they were real this time, tears of fear and desperation. I was going to put it back. She sobbed. I swear. I just needed it temporarily. It got out of control. Temporarily? I leaned forward, the chair scraping slightly on the floor. Nearly $300,000, Jessica. Systematically drained over months. That's not getting out of control. That's calculated theft. That's the ultimate betrayal. She collapsed into noisy sobs. What are we going to do now? She wailed, looking at me with pleading eyes. It's all gone. How will Mom get the care she needs? And there it was. The moment. I let her words hang in the air, heavy with her feigned despair and underlying panic. Then I spoke, my voice dropping to a near whisper, cold and devoid of any emotion but finality. Let me be perfectly clear, Jessica. We aren't going to do anything. I'm going to pay for your mother's care. Every single thing she needs. For as long as it takes. Confusion warred with fear on her tear-streaked face. But, the money, how? I picked up my phone, unlocked it, navigated to the other banking app and turned the screen to face her. The balance glowed there, undeniable. 6 figures. Healthy. Secure. Her jaw physically dropped. The sobbing choked off instantly, replaced by a strangled gasp. Her eyes widened in stunned disbelief, then narrowed as the implication slammed into her. You forgot about my inheritance account, didn't you? I continued, the quiet words landing like hammer blows. The one you never knew about. The one only I could access. I watched the realization dawn, the shift from feigned victimhood to raw, naked horror. This account, I stated, my voice flat, will cover everything. Your mother's therapy. Her nursing care. Any modifications needed here. Her future is completely secure. Thanks to careful planning. My planning. I leaned back slightly. As for you, Jessica, consider your access to this family and its resources permanently revoked. You took what you thought was everything. You get nothing more. Not a cent. Not ever. You made your bed when you chose to steal from your sick mother and grieving father. Now lie in it. Her face crumpled. Not in sadness but in the agony of total defeat. The shock, the fury at being outplayed, the sheer terror of her situation. It was all there. She opened her mouth, perhaps to argue, perhaps to plead again, but no sound came out. The fight was gone. She had absolutely nothing left. Seeing her stripped bare of her arrogance and deceit, it wasn't joy I felt. Just a vast, hollow sadness for what was lost, and the steely satisfaction of knowing Sarah was safe. Justice served cold. The silence that followed stretched, thick and suffocating. Jessica just sat there, staring at the papers, then at my phone screen, then back at the evidence of her betrayal. The fight had completely evaporated, leaving behind an empty husk. Finally, numbly, she pushed her chair back, stood up on shaky legs, and walked out of the dining room, out of the house, without a backward glance. Tears streamed down her face, but she made no sound. I let her go. What else was there to say? I immediately put my words into action. Using the funds from my separate account, I arranged for the very best care for Sarah. Top-tier rehabilitation specialists, excellent home nursing support when she was finally discharged, every necessary piece of adaptive equipment. It cost a fortune, but every cent spent was a reaffirmation that Jessica's greed had not destroyed us. Knowing Sarah was secure, comfortable, and progressing was worth more than any amount of money. Jessica tried calling, leaving tearful, rambling voicemails filled with flimsy apologies and thinly veiled hints about her own financial desperation. I deleted them unheard. The bridge wasn't just burned, it was obliterated. I met with an estate lawyer immediately, restructuring everything to ensure Jessica was legally and irrevocably excluded from any inheritance or future financial connection to us. Pursuing criminal charges felt counterproductive. The public humiliation, the stress it would put on Sarah during her fragile recovery, it wasn't worth it. Severing all ties, ensuring she faced the consequences of her actions alone, felt like the cleaner, more effective justice. Sarah's recovery continued, slow but determined. She fought hard. When she was stronger, more lucid, I gently told her the truth about the finances, focusing on the betrayal rather than the sordid details of Jessica's spending. She cried, yes, for the daughter she thought she knew, for the broken trust. But then her eyes cleared and she looked at me, squeezed my hand, and whispered her agreement with my decision to cut Jessica off completely. Her quiet strength, her unwavering support, cemented our bond even further. Life is different now. Quieter. We eventually sold the family home and moved to a smaller, more manageable place closer to Sarah's outpatient therapy center. My world revolves around her care, her comfort, celebrating every small victory on her path back to health. The scar of Jessica's betrayal remains, a dull ache beneath the surface, a constant reminder of how trust can be weaponized. But it didn't break us. There's no triumphant gloating, just a profound, quiet relief. The knowledge that I could shield Sarah, protect our future when she couldn't protect herself, provides a deep, enduring satisfaction. We lost our daughter in the most painful way imaginable. But in the quiet moments, holding Sarah's hand, seeing her smile, I know we saved what truly mattered. We saved each other. And that's a victory worth fighting for.